With Greg Olson and Thomas Davis signing their one-day contracts and retiring as Carolina Panthers, I figured it was my time to tell you. With Greg Olson and Thomas Davis signing their one-day contracts and retiring as Carolina Panthers, I figured it was my time to give my top 10 all-time list in Panthers history. You're listening to Money in the Bank. Now, to get this thing started, I want to tell you my criteria, and it's very simple. I have two things. I have franchise impact and on-field play. Now, one of these may supersede the other depending on who the individual is. It really is truly up to my discretion, and it will probably rub a lot of people the wrong way on this list, but let's get to it. At number 10, I have Sam Mills. The reason why I put Sam Mills at number 10 and left off maybe some other guys that you'll see later on this list is because I think about overall impact. And when you're a guy that has become the mantra of a team, and that mantra has stood the test of time for over 20 years, you deserve a spot on an all-time list in my mind. I think about what he's meant to this organization, and think about a guy that didn't play very long that even guys like me know. I'm 24 years old. My first year of really being a Panthers fan was our Super Bowl year. For me to know who Sam Mills is and understand his impact, and for guys younger than me to understand his impact down the road, lends itself to having him on an all-time list, at least my all-time list. I can't speak for everybody else. But on my all-time list, he lends himself at number 10. Think about a guy that, when we hit that drum at the beginning of every home game, it's Sam Mills. When you think about keep pounding the mantra, and when we say it and when we play like it, it's Sam Mills. He's the guy that is the mantra. It will forever be the mantra, and because of that, he comes in at number 10. At number 9, I have Muhsin Muhammad. Muhsin Muhammad comes in at number 9 for me because I think about a guy that's the second best receiver in franchise history. A guy that tallied over 11,000 yards and 60 touchdowns in his career. And so for most people, those are fringe Hall of Fame numbers. So because of that, I got to put him on the list. A guy that, the reason why he's this low, and I'll explain, is because for me, a guy that's only 24, I only got to see a sector of his career in Carolina. You think about from 96 to 2004 when he was with the team. I started watching Carolina in 2003. So for me, I watched 2003, 2004. He goes to Chicago for 3 years. Spends his last few years in Carolina. And then, he was still a very good receiver. Still had another 1,000-yard season in him at the tail end of his career. So, again, a great player. One of the more unsung guys from that decade, from the 2000 decade that played. And he comes in at number 9 for me on my all-time list. At number 8, I have Jordan Gross. Jordan Gross, I'll spoil it, is the only offensive lineman to make my list because he was the best at the most important position, left tackle. Jordan Gross held it down for 11 years, protecting Jake Delhomme during his tenure, helping us get to a Super Bowl in his rookie year, holding it down, all-pro, Pro Bowler, that held it down at the most important position. And the reason why I put him on here and not another guy is because we have yet to really replace him at that position. I think about, there were a lot of years where Ryan Khalil was hurt, didn't play, and we played with other guys that were able to fill in and be, serviceable. And center is just a position that it's important. Yes, it is. But the most important position on the offensive line is the left tackle position, and we know that. And when you're the best at the most important position, I got to show you love and put you on the list. At number 7, I got Jake Delhomme. Now, Jake Delhomme may be a little too low for a lot of people that's looking at my list, but I put him right there because of, if I think about what he was able to accomplish, man. Jake Delhomme came in and put this team not on the map, but gave this team that grit, that fire, and that will to win that carried us to the Super Bowl, to Super Bowl 38. A guy that, he's second in every major statistical category to Cam Newton. And a guy that, of course, he's not recognized as the best quarterback. I don't recognize him as the best quarterback in this franchise, but I recognize him as a very important guy as to what he meant to this team. He put together one of the greatest seasons in Panthers history, one of the most memorable in Panthers history, and he was clutch. I got to give him credit for what he was able to accomplish in crunch time, and because of what he was able to do there, and because of what he was able to provide us, help give Smitty a big boost in his career, help put this team help put this team in contention each and every year, being one of the best, playing against some of the best in the game, and being one of the best when some of the greats were playing. Got to give you credit for that. Jay Malone comes in at number 7. At number 6, we have Greg Olson. Greg Olson comes in at number 6 because a guy that didn't spend the majority of his career in Carolina, while he is still synonymous with the Panthers franchise, that will probably be the only reason why I would put him at this spot. And at the tight end position, there are just some guys that I have listed above him that are just more impactful, and I just couldn't see myself putting him over them. But Greg Olson is a guy that I think is very underrated as far as in the overall NFL landscape. He was never really talked about as being probably the best at his position, when I thought he was during his time collecting 1,000 yard receiving seasons. And now he did what he did then, and is really showed you what would become of the future. He's not the first modern day tight end. He's not the most dominant, but he was the guy that accomplished that feat that is now normalized. You know what I'm saying? And the guy that did it first may not always be the best at it, but I got to give credit to the guy that was able to get it done the first time, and that's Greg Olson. Greg Olson, a guy that has a great impact in the community, a guy that the Carolina claimed as their very own, and has ingratiated himself with the community in Charlotte. So with the franchise impact, it lends himself to being one of the best and being one of the best to suit up for the black and blue. So I got Greg Olson at number 6. Thomas Davis comes in at number 5. Thomas Davis is at number 5 for me because if I think about the keep pounding mantra, I think about he's one of the guys that is synonymous with that keep pounding mantra. With coming back from 3 ACL tears, still having a great career, having honestly a fringe Hall of Fame career when you look at it, and you think about, and when you factor in the years he missed because of injury, Thomas Davis is one of the best to do this. I love him, man. A guy that's continuously able to fight back. A guy that has had high character. A guy that just, when him and Luke were playing together, they were one of the most feared tandems in football, and they led one of the best defenses to the Super Bowl in 2015, and had one of the greatest and had some of their best runs during this past decade. I gotta show love to Thomas Davis and what he was able to accomplish in retiring as a Carolina Panther. Much love. Thomas Davis is number 5. Now, I'll be honest. This list is not without some of his biases. I'm a guy that I'll be honest in why I put certain guys in certain spots. And Julius Peppers comes in at number 4 because, as a youngin', I don't understand the game at the time. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why a guy has to leave my team. And because Julius Peppers served as a villain for pretty much the majority of his time away from the Panthers franchise, a lot of people don't really show Julius Peppers the love he probably deserves. He's one of the greatest of all time at the defensive end position, one of the greatest sack artists we've had in this game to play for the black and blue and to play in this league. So yes, he has to be on the list at number 4. Julius Peppers is only at number 4 for the things I mentioned earlier, man. There's really no hole in what Julius Peppers was able to accomplish throughout his career, being top 5 all-time leader in sacks, being one of the most dominant guys in his position. Has to come in the top 5. At least for the Panthers, at least. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer at the end of the day. Julius Peppers comes in at number 4. At number 3, got to go with Luke Kuechly. Now, I understand. This may rub a lot of people the wrong way because a lot of people's lists that I've seen, Luke Kuechly's number 2 or possibly number 1, depending on who you are. You may be smoking dope if you think that. But Luke Kuechly's number 3 for me because statistically, his stats will never match up all time with some of the greats because he didn't play for as long. But Luke Kuechly at his moment in time in the game was either 1 or 2 alongside Bobby. It was either Bobby Wagner or Luke Kuechly at 1 and 2. They jostled with that position for the majority of the last decade. Luke Kuechly is a guy that overall impact with the franchise. I think he's a great player. That played great for a number of years. But playing great doesn't mean you have impact. Luke Kuechly is one of the most revered guys around the league because of how he played the game, because of how smart he was and how intelligent he was. Read and react. Look, you won't find many just linebackers better than Luke Kuechly. And if we were just purely stat list, he would be probably at the top. But because it's about impact, I got to go with my next guy that you're about to see. At number 2, I have Cam Newton. And I don't have a lot of time to really get into, really dig deep. And hopefully we'll get to dig deep on the podcast about my list and why I chose what I chose. I went Cam Newton because if I think about overall impact, statistically, the stats are there. Now, Cam was never revered as top 5 in his position for the majority of his time in Carolina, but he had his moments, he had his time, and he got the job done. So I can't, we go off stats. Of course, the stats don't really favor Cam as far as in the grand scheme of it. In Panthers history, yes, he's number 1 in damn near every statistical category for the Carolina Panthers. So a franchise leader, I gotta give you that. Overall impact, Cam Newton is a guy that impact is something you can't it can't be measured by stats. The numbers can't measure it. But Cam had the whole world dabbing at a point. Cam had the whole world in his hands in 2015 at a point. You want to know what Cam Newton's doing? Cam Newton took the lead by storming his rookie season and put Carolina nationally on the map. A franchise that even through his best years never got national recognition for more than just that one season that they would have made the playoffs. Cam Newton put us on for 24/7. I look at that and I look at the national games that we were able to get. You don't get those just because of a linebacker. Luke Kuechly's a guy that his personality doesn't show. You know what I'm saying? And because his personality didn't show as much while he played, because he was a guy that's passionate about the game, but I think about a Ray Lewis. Then I think about Luke Kuechly. It's nowhere close to being the same type of cat. You know what I'm saying? So Cam Newton overall impact for me is much greater than Luke's, and because of what he accomplished offense, and because of what he was an MVP at a point. So he was revered as one of the best players in our game. So with that being the case, I have Cam Newton at number 2. At number 1, I have none other than Steve Smith. Steve Smith to me is just he's the best in his position, and a position that's relying upon somebody else to play well in order for you to get yours. He still got his. You know what I'm saying? A guy that only had to leave because of, management. I will have to concede that Steve Smith is the best player to play and suited up for the Carolina Panthers. He's synonymous with the Carolina Panthers. And when I think about impact, bro, I'm telling you, when people have to be honest about impact. And just because you like a guy, just because he had a lot of great numbers, it don't mean his impact was there. Steve Smith is synonymous with the Carolina Panthers. Steve Smith is a figure around the league that's polarizing. And did I kind of value that on this list? Maybe so. But for a guy that had over 14,000 yards receiving, a guy that got it done on the field, I'll take my lumps with saying Steve Smith is the best player to ever play in Carolina Panthers history, and that he's on my top 10 Panthers all-time list. And I just gotta leave it at that. So you've been listening to Money in the Bank. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us at P Wayne _network on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm out.